why behind the purpose of StoryBolt when it comes to helping businesses understand their DEI? Right. So what made you take that? Okay, because it's fascinating. Like, by the way, so it's a fascinating idea, and obviously uh, we'll talk a bit later on how we both are seeing the organizations addressing their DEI challenges, but love to know the thought behind the whys of that. What brought you to this idea of actually having them focus on a real empathetic story
Yeah.
on many of these core aspects?
Mhm.
Because it's a fascinating idea. Just
Thank you.
curious.
Thank you. That's a great question, actually. Well, I guess we all observed over the last 2 years the great resignation and how the lack of belonging and all the issues that started, they existed, they started coming out of the conversations on um, social justice issues in 2020 and like murder of George Floyd and the pandemic and lack of access of so many people to resources brought up to the surface of the organization, and organizations started like really struggling with keeping their high quality talent, and they started spending so much money actually on building the conversations or building the real culture of inclusivity, and many of them started getting backlashes and um, actually failed in creating that environment for their employees. What we started observing was how lack of authentic relationship with employees and really understanding where they are coming from and using passive models of training and superficial, to be honest, sometimes models of like checking the box creates those backlashes on both sides of the organization. Those who many believe are privileged or those who underprivileged both didn't like this approach and stopped participating in that because to so many people these approaches were even offensive. Like, how can we talk about equity and diversity and inclusion without really creating that culture? Like, there's a beautiful famous thing that I read on Harvard Business Review that diversity is like inviting people to a party, and inclusion is inviting them to dance. If you don't invite them to dance, they're gonna leave. And for them to be able to dance, they need to decide about the music. They need to be part of the conversation about what type of dance we are gonna have, what like how we are gonna design this party, right? If we don't have all those
Hmm.
conversations, it's not gonna be real. It's not gonna be an authentic, real ask for join us in this party. And many places, many times that what happened. And what we started observing with what we had, the platform that we had, was that how much having real understanding through real stories of people and walking in other people's shoes can
Hmm.
help for us as human to human to better understand each other, like have real conversations. So we had clients from financial institutions who came to us and they had conversations around like bias awareness. And they told us after the session, they had listening sessions together with like a group of 100 employees with the VP in the room. And they all started talking very authentically and very openly. They cried together. They laughed together about the biases that they had. And they started building such a trust that still this year is the third year that they are coming back to expand those conversations in all different business units and all different other topics that they could talk about. So I guess having that empathy line as the main and base of understanding each other through real stories is such a powerful thing, and there is a science behind it that our brain sort of help us better understand each other and take action for each other when we hear stories, which I can go into details. But we started seeing that as a need to bring to the learning and development, and to be honest, to all layers of the organizations for building the right
So
culture.
so uh, so one thing that we found pretty fascinating when we talked to an organization is how much. So we all know that culture play a significant role in basically in the behavioral aspect of an
Mm-hmm.
organization, and basically their ethics and their how they perform. And when we talk about the diversity and inclusion and equity part, it's pretty intertwined with the culture, right? And culture, it takes forever to the culture to sort of set in place. That's what the organization is, what where it is today. So I'm curious, when you indulge with organizations and help them uh, basically have a better DEI, like explain us some of your challenges or some of your opportunities that you have seen with your indulgence when it comes to the cultural diaspora. Because I think um, numerous time when we talk to organization about, I think there's a passing the buck going on when it comes to DEI. So many might have said, okay, they don't give me time. Those guys says, hey, they don't they seek too much time, and then there's personal we have personal biases also in place. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what has been your observation in working with
Mm-hmm.
organizations in this?
So what we found is very interesting to have the leadership engage in the conversation. The leadership the leadership of the organization needs to understand these things. It's very important to have the leadership engage. But also sometimes you need to start bottom up to get to leadership to listen
Mm,
to you. So we started going both ways for both building competencies for more inclusive leaders and also creating opportunities for the workforce as a whole to get engaged in these conversations so they can have those talking points when they're talking with leaders. So they can talk about the issues and challenges of equity in the workplace. They can talk about what is needed, what is missing. And when you have those kind of conversations, um, that's like, it's so engaging that time is not something that they're looking at anymore. At first, there are some um, sort of resistance about like, are they going to be long? Are they going to be how long are these conversations? What's needed? How much of my time going to go on that? But then when they experience it once and they start seeing the result as what comes to the conversations afterward, and they see how it's like, what is the return on investment and how they can really see the result of this on innovation, on building more allyship, and not losing high quality talent. That's sort of change it for them. If I understand, I'm sorry, if I understand your question correctly, and you meant that kind of resistance from organizations. That's what we've observed many times when we started with organization. And by the way, our model is like under 90 minutes per session, which is nothing compared to many like
mm,
other like workshops or consulting firms solutions that are longer. But because it's a dense 90 minutes, like the
mm,
documentaries are under 30 minutes and the stories are short, but they are the result of many years of work uh, coming into 30 minutes, and they give you a 360 view of the issue sort of, and the conversation after that digs into more. um, Usually it just the complaint after is like, we didn't have enough time, we want more.